him to go. As you say, he has said that the accused, really the president, Fuad Massoum, of breaching the constitution because he hasn't backed him as prime minister. We're getting reports that as a result, tanks and special forces loyal to Maliki have fortified the green zone surrounding those government buildings as perhaps a show of intimidation. But Maliki, he took to state television earlier today demanding to be the new prime minister of Iraq, and that's a role that he should take. But as we have heard from the Americans for weeks now, he is not a leader that is inclusive and is unifying the country. You know, we heard from President Barack Obama over the weekend, and he really did infer that Maliki has to go. And from what we understand, American officials are working behind the scenes to oust the prime minister. You know, with all this political turmoil underway here in Iraq, which, you know, I must say is complicated and very convoluted, you know, this is what the Kurds will tell us here up in Erbil, that it was Maliki that has allowed the ISIS phenomenon to be, really. It's allowed it to become what it is. And they didn't, you know, describe ISIS as being an army, but rather a state. That is what they are fighting, a state. But you mentioned the US airstrikes, and we've seen more of them over the weekend, and they are being effective because of that cover over the sky, because of taking out those ISIS militant targets. They've allowed the Kurdish forces, the Peshmerga, to get in to those areas and retake two towns which are within 20 miles of us here in Erbil, as well as create an area at least around some parts of Mount Sinjar where that humanitarian crisis is unfolding, to create a safe passage for some 20,000 Yazidis, that religious minority, to get off the mountain. But we must stress that there are still tens of thousands of people trapped on top of this mountain. They have been there now for days without food, without water, excuse me, and without shelter. And I must tell you, you know, the heat here is excruciating. There have been dozens, if not hundreds, of people perish in these conditions. But, you know, hearing from the Pentagon, they are saying that to break the siege at Mount Sinjar could take weeks. You know, they need the ground forces to go in, those Kurdish forces, to create a corridor, if you like, off that mountain. But they, as the Kurds will tell us, they need those airstrikes to continue so that they have that support to